The City of Bristol, providing beautiful parks, economic development, and a family-friendly community.
Good evening. Welcome to the joint board meeting, February 9th, Tuesday, February 9th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 1. Oh, wait. First, we'll ask the Board of Finance to introduce themselves, starting my far right.
John Smith, Board of Finance.
Mike Lamoth, Board of Finance.
Mike Farini, Board of Finance.
Jody Sills-Gagny, City Council.
Anthony D'Amato, City Council.
Ron Burns, Board of Finance.
Cheryl Tebow, Board of Finance.
Calvin Brown, City Council.
Dave Miller, City Council.
Dave Perleski, City Council. Derek Chenchulewski, Board of Finance.
Jake Garrier, Board of Finance.
Orlando Kelfi, Board of Finance.
Mary Fortier, City Council.
And I'm Mayor Cockane. Item number 1.
Approval of minutes of the regular joint board meeting on January 12th, 2016.
Move approval.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Motion passes. Item number 2.
Is the consent calendar. There are 3 items. 2A is to make transfers totaling $8,995 within the Treasurer's Office operating budget for part-time wages and conferences and memberships. 2B is to make an additional appropriation of $63 within the Special Grants and Donations Fund for youth services funded by donations. And 2C is to transfer $7,724 within the Public Works operating budget for repairs and maintenance.
Move approval.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed. Motion passes. Item number 3.
To transfer $186,190 within the General Fund for Firefighters Union Local 773 contract settlement. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed. Motion passes. Item number 4.
To transfer $9,375 from the General Fund contingency account to operating transfers out special revenue.
Move it.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed. Motion passes. Item number 5.
To make an additional appropriation of $9,375 within the Special Grants and Donations Fund for the city match of the Bristol Adult Education Workforce Competitiveness Grant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed. Motion passes. Item number 6.
To transfer $10,000 within the Community Development Block Grant Fund for a warming center at BCO. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Motion passes. Item number 7.
To transfer $28,050 from the General Fund contingency account to Community Services for relocation.
Move it.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed. Motion passes. Item number 8.
To make an additional appropriation of $600,000 within the General Fund funded by a contribution from BRRFOC.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Motion passes. Item number 9.
To make an additional appropriation of $400,000 within the Equipment Building Sinking Fund funded by a transfer in from the General Fund.
Move it.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed. Motion passes. Item 10.
To make an additional appropriation of $76,024 within the General Fund funded by the Interdistrict Cooperative Grant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Motion passes. Item 11.
Is the monthly revenue and expense report by the Controller.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners and Council people. Robin will address the issue, an update on the situation with the IRS after I speak. Basically, everything's going along fine in the city. There's no anomalies of any kind. Our finances are in order. Our expenditures are a little bit under what we would expect, and that's probably because of Public Works, and the snow and ice accounts are not where we were last year. Obviously, we're getting a couple back-to-backs, but last year it started pretty heavily and maintained that way. So we're doing well in those accounts. There's nothing really to talk about other than I am reviewing, and I'll be speaking with the Board of Finance Chair and the board itself with regards to, I was planning to issue debt in the spring, and after speaking with our financial advisor and after the audit report came out, we're pretty flush in cash and investments at about 50 million. And I'm thinking that I may reconsider after a conversation with the board issuing debt in the spring. There's no reason to issue debt just for the sake of issuing debt. What we generally do is we reimburse ourselves for debt because we are, for lack of a better term, cash flush. And that's because of all the different appropriations from all the different various funds other than general funds. So it gives us a very good cash position. I'd like to, definitely will consider the following year, but this year I think that we can hold off for another year, because obviously when you issue debt, you're going to have at least a $2 million increase in principal and $500,000 in interest. So I think we can weather the storm for one more year. Other than that, there's nothing to report, but we do have some news on the IRS front regarding the payroll issue.
Good evening, everyone. Since the last time I came before you, I have been in frequent contact with the IRS and the Taxpayers Advocacy Group. There's 3 items I'd like to update you on. The first one is the civil penalty of $75,769 has been abated, so the city's no longer on the hook for that, which is wonderful news. I was instructed to file Form 941X, which I did file, and that does show that we are entitled to a refund of about $81,000 in federal taxes. The third item is the IRS did accept a claim for a refund that has been allowed. So all those steps had to happen. Now the question is, how much are we going to get back? And that's the one answer I don't have yet. The woman that I've been in contact with from the Taxpayers Advocacy Group said she should have more information for me early next week. So I should have more definitive answers on what the refund is, how much it is, and when we'll be getting it. And then I can report back to you on that.
Let me throw in that, we really have to thank Senator Murphy and Congressman Larson. Senator Murphy actually took the lead on this, his office. We met before I went to Washington, and when I was in Washington, we had about an hour-and-a-half meeting. So they really stepped up to the plate, and we have to extend our thank you to our senators. And also Senator Blumenthal was also aware of this, but knew Senator Murphy's office was taking the lead, so he kind of let them do it.
And thank you, Mayor, for taking the lead on it. It's very appreciative. There was immediate action after your meeting with the representatives.
Yeah, they were good. Any questions? Thank you. Any other business?
I do. Mr. Mayor, I have a couple things. We have a Board of Finance meeting in 2 weeks from tonight. One of the items that will be discussed is the Field Committee will be making a presentation to the Board of Finance. And so I'm bringing this up so that members of the City Council may want to be in attendance for that meeting and hear at the same time the results of several of the tasks they've been working for, as well as the general public. And then secondly, we're about to kick off our budget hearings. If you go to the city website and type in budget, it will bring you to the budget page. Look for year 2016 through 17. You here will find the dates of all our budget hearings, and as the packets are available, they will be posted so anybody can download, see the information that will be discussed. And as always, everybody's welcome to the budget hearings to come in, see such riveting information that we all share. So,
I promise
thank you.
we won't put you to sleep during those budget hearings.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Mrs. Tebow, when is the Fields presentation?
2 weeks from tonight, which would be what's today, the... Thank you.
23rd.
The 23rd.
6:30.
6:30?
Right.
6:30.
Here, Council Chambers. Anything else? Your Honor, Councilman?
Yeah, I want to publicly thank the chairwoman for allowing Councilwoman Fortier and me to not only attend the last Board of Finance meeting, but she allowed us to address any and all of our concerns with the new auditors. We thought it was a great opportunity. The new auditors came to town. It's good to hear a new, fresh viewpoint about how the city finances are run. Audit came out exceptionally, I think. I think the other members of the Board of Finance would agree. And at the end of it, we had a conversation with the chairwoman where we would I'd ask that the Board of Finance consider expanding the scope of their audit to include an internal internal routines type of audit. With various, it doesn't have to be done every year, but I think it should be done every few years, and we haven't done it at all. And I think the chairwoman said she's going to refer it to one of her banking committees.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words as well. And I'd like to, at this point, thank the Controller's Office and the staff, Robin, Glenn, and the staff for an excellent job in working with the auditors. And again, the reason we have no issues is we do have a stellar team. But thank you, Councilman. The auditors did come up with 6 observations, as they put them, things that they noticed that we might want to meet and address. These items, along with the suggestion from the council members, would be taken up in our subcommittee, which is banking and auditing, and when we meet, we'll be discussing these items. But thank you. You're always welcome to attend our meetings.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion passes. Council meeting in 5 minutes. Good evening. Welcome to the City Council meeting, February 9th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask the council to please introduce themselves, starting my far right.
Calvin Brown, District 1.
Anthony D'Amato, District 1.
Jody Zills Gagnon, District 2.
Dave Mills, District 3.
Dave Perleski, District 2.
Mary Fortier, District 3. Town Clerk Therese Pack.
Assistant Dawn LaBella.
And Mayor Ken Cockane. We'll have a moment of silence for our troops on active duty. Thank you. Item number 2.
Approval of minutes of the regular City Council meeting on January 12th, 2016, and special meetings on December 28th, 2015, and December 30th, 2015.
Move to accept.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. Motion passes. And number 3, public participation. We will start with Paul Diapril.
Paul Diapril, 126 Frederick Street. Ken, you're doing a very good job of cleaning up light in Bristol. You have one little problem coming up. Our pizza parlors are going to be taken over by used car lots. Driving up here, I passed 5 of them. Add Black Bear, it's 6, okay? I'm asking that you check on how many cars they have in their lots. They're taking over Bristol. Any other town around here, you will not have that many used car lots. Maybe you can stop it, or you can control the amount of cars. It is taking over Bristol versus pizza parlors. I guarantee you that, okay? I'm asking for you an investigation into it.
I will speak to our zoning officers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Robin Kendall? Kendall, right? Did I get that right?
No, Cowdell.
All right.
That's
Sorry.
okay. It's always said wrong. Robin Cowdell, 29 Overlook Avenue. Mr. Mayor, council people. I just have some concerns regarding the hospital, the downtown development. I feel like everything right now is going fast and furious, and that we are not being educated enough on the process, or there's not a lot of transparency of what's going on. So I basically want to know if you plan to keep to your promise that any large expenditures will be a referendum on the ballot. We do go to the polls in November, so it won't be an extra cost to the city. And I guess that's my question.
Yes, I do. And the hospital, Bristol Hospital, is not asking for a dime from the city of Bristol.
That's not what I'm really asking. I guess I'm asking where the parking garage is, where is all the money coming from? Where is the money coming from? If we hear from our legislators that the hospital is in jeopardy because of the state budgets, it's just like you try to follow the shell game. Was very good playing it with my grandfather, but I'm not really good about trying to figure out
The best place to come is when you come to and the reporters will start being there at our downtown BDA meetings. We haven't set a calendar yet. We'll be doing that at our next BDA meeting. We'll be setting the next year ahead. There'll be just in monthly meetings? Yeah. Monthly meetings, and they'll be posted. Those are the meetings that will talk about the downtown, just like the BDDC used to.
Perfect.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle Roloff?
Good evening. My name is Michelle Rolfe, and I reside on 205 Minnesota Lane. Councilman Brown, I am here tonight as are many of your other supporters, to thank you for continuing to represent our district, especially after learning of your current personal situation. My neighbors, my family, and friends couldn't be more proud of your professionalism in light of the attempts to discredit you. Who hasn't experienced moments of adversity? A bankruptcy, loss of investment, change of career, financial setbacks, or issues with family members going through a tough time. We believe that your personal life is just that, personal. You do not need to apologize for putting your family first, nor do you need to apologize to your constituents for the way your personal life was exploited. Please note that many of us believe that the negative tone to manipulate the truth and cast what-if scenarios by some Republicans is nothing more than a distraction and political posturing. Bristol has bigger issues to be addressed. Stop with the negative rhetoric. Stop the political backstabbing and finger-pointing. We all want the city council and mayor to work together and do the job you were elected to do. Also this evening, I want to talk to council members D'Amato and Mills. Tonight, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for taking the high road and not participating in Facebook conspiracy theories or writing a letter to the editor. To me, that speaks volumes about your character and the fact that you know what the priorities are that you were elected in the first place. And I respect that, so thank you. The people deserve and want action, not distraction. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean Ruiz? Sean?
Good evening, Sean Ruiz, 53 Lancaster Road. Were you talking about me, Michelle? No, I'm just kidding. I'm only kidding. This evening, I've come to discuss the downtown. Justin Malley made a comment at the BDA Downtown Committee meeting about using best practices. But he was referring to going to a consultant to get advice on what we should do for the downtown. And I urge the city of Bristol, the BDA, city council, mayor, to please refer to the document that I referred to that our regional planners are reading called TOD 202, where it says, and they are a best practices outfit. They were funded by the Federal Railroad Administration, and they say, if you want to have meaningful and constructive input, the community should be educated about TOD and its potential to leverage private investment for community benefits. One of the reasons why I'm very concerned about the downtown development is a bunch of different changes that are going on the state level. An expansion of affordable housing on a Depot Square site could be detrimental to the future of Bristol. Reconnecting America and another publication called TOD for All says, by the year 2030, more than half of the potential demand of housing near transit will come from households with below median incomes. A 2007 APTA profile of riders estimates that approximately 35% of transit riders make less than $25,000 a year, and 30% of riders make between $25,000 and $50,000. So if we expand the amount of housing in the downtown by between 5,000 and 18,000 units, as best practices dictates, that's going to mean that we're going to be adding over 2,000 units of low-income housing in the downtown. I also urge you to please refer to something called the Long Range Transportation Plan. It's a 2015 to 2040 plan. It was written by the CCMPO, that's the Central Connecticut Metropolitan Planning Organization. In it, it describes the walkability of Bristol as very walkable. We've got an A rating for walkability. It also describes the conditions of roads in the area. And specifically, Bristol rated the worst of all the area towns. There's an index called the International Roughness Index that they use to measure the road conditions. And it says that Bristol's roadways are unsatisfactory condition with an IRI rating of 175.05. So before we spend money on making the downtown more walkable, maybe we could pave our roads. Mr. DePriel came and spoke the very first time I addressed City Council about the condition of Frederick Street. How are we making out with that? Thank you.
Thank you. David Happerfield.
David Haberfeld, 110 Divinity Street. Good evening. I'd like to speak in favor of passing the resolution to allocate funds to redo sidewalks on Lower Summer Street. First, in the interest of full disclosure, I am the largest property owner on Lower Summer Street, and my property stands to directly benefit if this passes. You can expect my opinion to be biased, but you can also expect my argument to be reasonable. Summer Street has some of the worst sidewalks in the city. About 5 years ago, Summer Street was too rough for me. The crime rate was too high. You couldn't walk down the street without being asked for money or to buy drugs. Even the West End was a better place in every way for me to invest in. It was the second worst neighborhood in the city after Davis Drive. One night I was having drinks with Ryan Porter, and he told me that one day Summer Street would be some of the most desirable property in downtown Bristol, overlooking the new development. And he needed to figure out a way to fix that neighborhood. That drink was how I got to Lower Summer Street. I've learned that to fix neighborhoods like Lower Summer Street, it requires the cooperation of everyone: owners, landlords, investors, tenants, police, and the city. And progress is slowed down by bad landlords, unresponsive banks, and lack of city investment. Today, I would argue that our neighborhood has significantly recovered and that no one is afraid to walk down Summer Street, that good people live there, and that is no longer a weight around the neck of our downtown. But there is also a lot of room for improvement. I believe the opponents of this are unhappy that bad and absentee landlords will benefit from this, and I'm unhappy about that also. But the reality is that the current way the city is set up to handle sidewalks is ineffective. And if a single person was to put in new sidewalks, even using the city's matching program, the odds of getting the surrounding neighborhoods to do it also to match are almost zero. You will never get everyone on a street to agree on something that costs money. Never. To bring up the street, a bad property owner will also benefit, and that's just the way it is. The only way to get sidewalks done on Summer Street is the way that is being proposed here today. In my opinion, it is absolutely reasonable to make a public investment to the tune of $68,000 into cosmetic improvements like sidewalks on a street that has the worst sidewalks in the city, that has shown great recovery in recent years, that all of us should want to see continue, and that has had and continues to have significant private investment from good property owners. This is not a case of the city putting money into a street that won't appreciate it. Nearly all the stakeholders on the street, including myself, will greatly appreciate it, and we've done a lot of work with private money to revitalize Summer Street. Support us. Also, myself, my partner Kent Gloa, and fellow investor Pat Snow are all willing to commit to repaving our adjacent parking lots located from 17 to 25 Summer Street when these sidewalks happen. In fact, we've been hoping and planning on it. My tenants and I would greatly appreciate passing this resolution, and we will continue to make Lower Summer Street an asset to Federal Hill, our downtown, and our city. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Michael Dutko.
Michael J. Dudko, 116 Lewis Road. This refers to item 18. I've been here since last July. This regards the sale of land in the industrial park to Uniprop, which is going to be item number 18 coming up later tonight. Okay. I've been talking about rules and regulations being broken since that time. And specifically, I'll reiterate, two councilmen have heard me since last July on this. In the rules and regulations, 3, project development. B, site development, private improvements. 1.2, only the following shall be permitted. C, third priority. Distribution facilities employing 2 or more facility employees per 1,000 square feet of floor space. In the Planning Commission documents and in published reports, this is going to be a 127,000 square foot building. Okay, 2 people per 1,000 square feet of floor space. That means you're going to have over 200 employees. Uniprop has only mentioned a top number of 40. Breaking law here. I've talked about this. 2.5, frontage along Middle Street shall be occupied by corporate offices or manufacturers occupying 70,000 square feet or more, not a distribution facility. I'm going to ask, is there anything different in the rules and regulations? So Mr. D'Amato, I guess, is the new liaison to the BDA. Has there been any authorizations? I have to go through the chair, I guess. Well, then you are breaking the law. If there's nothing different, you are not following the rules of law. This is criminal disregard about what I brought up as a citizen. I've tried to be patient about this. I come here. 3 minutes is not a long time to get these points through. If there is no change, you are breaking the laws going through with a sale. And you've known about this. The mayor has known about this. Two remaining councilmen know about this. There's a BDA representative. Justin Malley knows I brought this up quite clearly, and if there isn't anything done, you are breaking the law. And if you proceed, this is a criminal act. Now, as a citizen, I don't know what to do. What recourse do we have when city government does not want to follow their own rules? Do I have to, is an injunction, does a citizen have a right to go to a judge and get an injunction? If you're not carrying out the proper sequence, these are the laws.
I could assure you that no rules have been broken and no laws have been broken. I could assure you that. And no laws will be broken under my leadership.
If you say there was no change to any of these in the rules and regulations,
There has been no laws broken. You have come to the BDA, you have come to many council meetings, you've gone to zoning, and I believe you've gone to planning.
No, I didn't go. I looked at the
And
documents.
you've been given the same answer every single time, and nothing has
I
changed.
did not go to zoning or planning.
All right. Maybe it was your brother. Thank you very much.
I just like someone to bring this up and clarify it.
I just
because I
clarified
iterate,
it.
It's
No
a criminal
laws-
act to proceed.
No
if
laws
you
have
are
been broken.
breaking
Thank you very
any
much.
Laws.
Thank you.
Your Honor, if I can make a correction, I am not the city council liaison to the BDA. I'm the city council liaison to the BHA.
And our night wouldn't be complete without hearing from Michael's brother, Edward Dutko. You always make us laugh, though.
No, I don't think I'm going to make you laugh tonight. Look, my brother's no dummy. Nobody's stupid when they teach physics at a college, okay? My brother knows all this stuff, but I tell him he's got to know common sense, because a lot of times we should just save our breath when we come here, because nobody even listens anymore. You know, nobody wants to tell the truth. My brother could have all the facts. I tell my brother the only way you can get something done is by knocking on every door and by sitting there. That's it. You know, the decision has already been made in executive session behind some closed doors that nobody could ever hear. Kelvin Brown, well, I hope you stay. You know, I contributed to the mayor's campaign. I hope you stay as a council member. I think you're a good one. Mary, I think your decision is right. I'd like Bristol Hospital downtown, but I don't think in its present location. You're both Democrats, right? You know, I'm going home and I'm going to watch the New Hampshire primaries. But, you know, did anybody see the debate on Saturday night? And you know what came up? Those two dirty words. Eminent domain. Yeah, we're on number 18 tonight. We're on number 18. I mean, it's 12 years later. I mean, they were in such a rush. What a bunch of idiots we have here as mayors and one's still a state rep. You know, we never got what it's worth. Donald Trump ain't right. Jeb Bush told him, taking the property from an elderly woman, that's downright wrong. And that's exactly what happened. You know, how hard is it to take property from an elderly woman? That's what Jeb Bush told Donald Trump, even though I like to do, because he just tells it like it is. You know, I know all you people ain't responsible, you know. It's the former mayor, De Castro and stuff, and maybe, I don't know, only Mr. Lacey's probably was in on that deal too. But now in this Pods matter, what happens if like 10 years from now, Pods fails? I know what you're paying for that property for 14 acres. Chump change, what you paid us. Chump change. What happens if it's 10 years down the road and Pods said, we're leaving? Do they sell that for $15 million? Do you understand that the ESPN North Campus went for 6.75? They sold it. They sold some of their property. They got it down to 40 acres with the building. So it amounted to $5.5 million, and they sold it a couple of years ago for $42 million? For $42 million? I got robbed. So that's why I can't go for this all heart campaign. I think it's all horse crap. I mean, if I look, okay, Mark Walensky, he needs a job. Okay, he was on.
I knew you'd make us laugh tonight.
He was aboard the SS Renaissance downtown. That was a sinking ship. We know that. Okay, but I don't want to see my look. I looked at YouTube just a little while ago, but the last thing is like Bristol, Connecticut, all heart, 5,000 votes. Okay, 5,000. Bristol, Connecticut fight at the skate park in Rockwell Park. 14,000 people viewed that, nearly triple. Bristol state of mind from that guy who was running for king, Jason Flores, nearly 30,000
Thank you, Ed.
Well, one last thing, one last card, and don't forget we had that inept development director here. You know who the guy was. Okay, and we got to pay him $1,000 a week for the next 8 years probably. Why don't you give me $500 a week, and I won't come here and complain anymore for the next 10, okay? We got a deal?
We'll have to talk about that.
Hey.
Have a good night. I knew you'd make us laugh. You didn't disappoint. Patricia Bentley? Patricia? If you want to speak. You want to speak? Okay. Anthony Floyd. Same thing, okay. Tom Doyle, same thing? No? You gonna speak?
Hi, Tom Doyle, 128 High Street. I'm here to protest item number 17 on the agenda, spending grant money to replace sidewalks on Summer Street. If you really want to improve Summer Street, keep cracking down on the bad landlords. Code enforcement has been doing a great job the last couple of years, and I hope they'll keep at it this year too. For sidewalks, normally homeowners pay good money for sidewalk repair and replacement. This is written in the city ordinance. But here we are giving free sidewalks to a stretch of land that consists mainly of apartment houses, many with absentee landlords. In particular, one of these landlords has caused so much grief with the town over the past year that you, Mayor, publicly called him a scumbag. If you don't try to recoup any of the cost of this project from these owners, then I think this is very wrong, unless all sidewalk repairs in town are going to be free this year. In this particular case, it looks to me like the town is favoring absentee landlords over homeowners, when I think we should be doing the opposite. Now, I use this particular sidewalk, and yes, it's ugly, but this town has ugly sidewalks in quite a few places. I don't think you should wait for the HUD grants to roll around each year to chip away at this problem. If you really want to address it properly for the whole town, you should revise the ordinance on this. You should fix or streamline the process for sidewalk replacement and look into ways to reduce costs of the work. I know it won't be easy, but this would benefit all the homeowners in town, not just a select few landlords. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Just for the record, there's 64 houses on Summer Street and only one has any open case on it, and that is a foreclosed house. Kate Matthews. Pass that down, please. Pass that on. How are you?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Councilors. This is Kate Matthews, and my residence is 47 Prospect Place.
I am here tonight to talk to you about two things. The first is downtown development. The second is transparent government. Now, I shouldn't have to tell you that transparency is the key to open government. It's the key to our democracy. And Mr. Mayor, at the mayoral debate last year, you promised a public referendum on big ticket items. And I can't think of a big ticket item that's in the forefront of more Bristol people's minds than the downtown development issue. We don't have transparency on downtown development. No, we don't. And in fact, what we have is the opposite. We have a clandestine process surrounding the Bristol Hospital letter of intent. So what we have when we talk about downtown development is actually a very secret process. We have city council members who can't get a copy of the letter of intent from Bristol Hospital, despite more than one Freedom of Information Act request. And for the people in the audience who don't know what a Freedom of Information Act request is, that's a request that you issue pursuant to state and federal statute when your government doesn't want to give you access to documents that should be publicly available. Instead of having public discussion on an issue that is at the forefront of all of our minds, what we have had instead are no fewer than 3 executive sessions on December 17th, December 28th, and December 30th. So instead of having this forefront important issue discussed in a public forum where we can hear what's been proposed, we can think about it, and we can tell you what we think and what's important to us as taxpayers, instead, the 7 of you and your hand-picked friends walk over into that room, you shut the door, and no votes are taken, no notes are taken, and you talk about an issue, and we don't know what you talk about, that's central to what's happening in this town. That is not acceptable. These secret meetings are inappropriate. There is an issue here with transparency. There is an issue here with public access to an important issue, and it is inappropriate in the extreme. Now, you're not the only one at fault here, Mr. Mayor. I'm looking at everybody on the city council as well, Republican and Democrat. I demand that you stand up and give us, the public, the information that we need to know about downtown development. We are all stakeholders. And I'd like to say, there's been talk that because it's Bristol Hospital, they don't want to have this whole issue out in the public. They want to have their negotiations and their discussions be somewhat private. My response to that is that you're not looking to put development on private property. You're looking to put development on the former mall site. We're all stakeholders. We all own a piece of that. And we have a right to know what your discussion is. We have a right to know what's going on. And Mr. Mayor, if you can wrap a proposal in a tidy bow and submit it to us like it's Christmas morning, I put it to you that you are not doing your jobs. You are not letting us know about the underlying process. And until you do, you, sir, are not giving us what we need. We deserve to have more information. And I look to every one of you up here to provide that to us. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we will go on to announcements, starting my far right.
Okay, yes. There are 2 things that I want to say. The first one is I want to thank so many of my supporters and constituents and friends, many of whom are here tonight, which makes me feel very good to see you guys, so thank you for coming. That have reached out to me over this last month and communicated support for my family and me, and who have also expressed that you wish I could stay on as your city councilor. Now, when I talked to you all last month, it was my impression that once I changed my address, I would have to resign the council seat. But what I did, and what a group of dedicated, very sharp, very professional group of concerned citizens did, was look at the facts and look at the law. We looked at state statutes and compared them against our city charter, and we saw a confirmatory opinion from Corp Counsel, and I thank Corp Counsel for receiving our request and looking into it. And the law actually allows me to stay representing the 1st District, even though I will be changing my address to the 2nd District. And because that's what I'm allowed to do, I believe that's what I should do for the people that elected me, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So, thank you. Now, the second thing I want to say, and then this is really going to be it, and I'm going to return back to my family for us to figure out the rest of these details in private. But the last thing I want to say on this subject is, you know, for the small handful of Republican operatives who have taken to the newspaper and social media this past month to attack my integrity and my character and my credibility, I want you to know, in the words of the late, great Tupac, I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. Matter of fact, I feel a little bit sorry for you because I know exactly who I am. I say that I care about my family and I believe in family values, and by God, you can rest assured I will give every last drop of energy I've got to make sure that they are protected, and I always will, and nothing's ever going to change that. I promise you that. Second thing is I say I care about the city of Bristol, and I spend my time and my energy and my talent and my ideas to try and give back to make Bristol a better community for us all, and I'm going to continue to do that. And while others might try to politicize an issue that is not political, and while others might try and use their position in the community to attack another human being and make malicious, false accusations about their character and their integrity, that's a reflection on them. It's not a reflection on me. And if they ever do it to you, it's a reflection on them, not a reflection on you. This city, this room, this city is filled with people that are just trying to do the best they can. That's what makes Bristol a microcosm of America. We're a diverse group of people of incredibly diverse backgrounds and viewpoints, and at the end of the day, we're just trying to do the best we can for our families and our communities. And an overwhelming majority of you have shown that you understand exactly that, Republicans and Democrats alike. So, to my brothers and sisters in Bristol, thank you, and I look forward to serving the rest of this term.
Anything else? Councilman?
Yeah, just one quick announcement. Valentine's Day is coming up, so I know a lot of you will be probably going out to dinner and...
I already have a date.
So do I. What I just want to put out there is just try to keep in the back of your minds all of our local proprietors, our local restaurants, our local stores, and our local shops. If we can keep that in mind, that'd be great, as I will do as well. You know, Valentine's Day is a big day for restaurants, and you know, it can't hurt to frequent a local establishment, as I'll be doing. So just a reminder that keep that in mind. There's still time, and we have a lot of local proprietors here that do a really nice job, and I think you should give them a try. Thanks.
Anything?
Just two short ones. The indoor pool from the Bristol Parks and Rec will be holding their Shamrock Swim on March 12th from 6 to 8, and they're holding their annual Easter Gala at the Children's Library on March 19th from 10 to 2. That's it.
Councilman?
No, nothing.
Councilman?
Thank you, Mayor. My monthly shameless plug for the West End Association. They're having a great fundraiser. I promise you next month will be the last time I plug them because it goes to the months of March and April. For $5, you benefit the West End Association by buying a ticket for the Taste of Bristol. And not only do you benefit the West End Association, but there's 37 local restaurants participating, so you get to help the restaurants. This is after you go with Tony on Valentine's Day. March and April, go for the West End Association. Thank you.
And those could be bought in the mayor's office?
Mayor's office, Hamlin and Sons, and Southside Meat Market. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
Yes, I have a few things. First of all, I did forget last month to do my plug for paying your taxes online. As one of the people in the older group of council people, I will admit that computers are not my favorite thing, and I'm not the most computer literate person, but I am able to pay my taxes online as well as my water bill. And I just wanted to bring that up because I believe water bills are coming due this month. And if you've never done it before, it's worth a try to figure out if you can do it, because it does save the city a lot of money if you agree to have your bills only online and they don't have to mail those bills out. And the water bill is actually even easier than the tax bill. No offense to the tax office, but it's very simple and easy to do. My plug for giving blood, if you have a chance, winter months are difficult with snowstorms. Blood drives get canceled, so if you're able to give blood, that's always a great thing. The moving wall, which some of you may have remembered when the Vietnam War Memorial in its moving form came to Bristol some years back. It's coming back again, and it's coming in June. And if anyone wants to help work on that project of bringing it here to Bristol, there is a meeting this Saturday at the American Legion at 3 o'clock. And one other thing, I tend to try to be very positive when I do announcements. And 2016 has not been my best year so far. I'm not going to list all the issues that are currently going on in my life, but I do want to discuss one issue which has affected me this year and which increasingly is affecting all of us. Addiction, particularly opiate and heroin addiction, are on the rise across the country, in Connecticut, and here in Bristol. I know two young people who have died already this year here in Bristol. I want to urge the service community here in Bristol, police and fire, healthcare workers, our school community, to be vigilant. I'm not saying the word right. I think you know what I mean. Vigilant, there we go. And renew their commitment to best practices in all areas of addiction. I know that most of the response to this problem will come from the state level, but we can do our part here in Bristol to educate ourselves, and if any advocates need support from local officials, I will do whatever I can. And for those of us who may not be directly involved with addiction, I want to let you know about a website where we can all help. The website is called www.shatterproof.org, and reading from or quoting their website, Shatterproof is a national organization committed to protecting our loved ones from addiction to illicit and prescription drugs and alcohol, and ending the stigma and suffering of those affected by this disease. This is an organization for people suffering from addiction, but also from their family members who are suffering through their addiction. So I just wanted to bring that to people's attention. I just felt it was worth mentioning. I'm not sure what specifically Bristol could do, but I want to make people aware that it's something that we should be supportive of. Thanks.
Thank you. I have a couple. We are in the process right now of scheduling a joint board session for March 7th. This session is going to be a presentation by all of our state legislators, both all representatives as well as the state senator, giving the joint board a presentation on where our state budget is, where we're going to be. So I urge everyone to come if you can make it. And I don't even think the council's been notified of that, but you will be.
Do you have a time, Your Honor?
Yes, 6 p.m. The other thing is, Mayor will be holding a town hall meeting Wednesday, March 2nd, at the Bristol Library, meeting room number 1, from 6:30 to 8 p.m., 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. And this is really just an open forum. Come, ask me whatever you want to ask me, what's happening in Bristol. And hopefully I have the answer for you off the top of my head, and if I don't, I will get it. So I invite you to come, and if nothing else, just listen to the questions and be part of the group. That's all I have. Item number 5.
Consent calendar, and there are 6 items. Item 5A is to place on file the new hire report for January 2016. 5B is to approve the tax refunds dated February 3rd, 2016. Item 5C is to place on file recommendations from the Board of Education and the Board of Public Works, and approve the deferral of sidewalks at 223 Broad Street, subject to the filing of a covenant on the Bristol land records that if sidewalks are constructed on Broad Street or Todd Street, the cost will be incurred by the property owner. 5D is to place on file the recommendation from the Board of Education and approve the deferral of sidewalks at 120 Terryville Road, subject to the filing of a standard sidewalk caveat on the city land records by the property owner and the city reserving the right to order construction of sidewalks at a later date at the property owner's expense. 5E is to place on file the recommendation from the Board of Education to approve the possible street closure from the bottom of Willis Street from South Street to Memorial Boulevard. And 5F is to place on file the recommendation from the Board of Public Works regarding the deferral of sidewalks at 39 Business Park Drive.
Can I also ask for, do we need a motion to accept that first?
You can accept that, or if you want to add...
Can I have a motion to add items 15 through 21 into the consent calendar as well?
And I wanted to take something off the consent calendar if I can.
Okay,
So I
what
don't
do you
know.
want to take off first? Go, well,
Is the new hire report
that is which number?
A, the first
A.
one.
Okay, so we're going to take that off. Yep.
Take off item 17 as well.
Okay, well, first we have to bring it in. So can I have a motion to take, well, I'll just do item 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, and 21 into the consent calendar.
So moved.
Motion made
Second.
and seconded, discussion. Hearing none. All in favor of adding those into the consent calendar?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Anyone else, want anything else taken out? Hearing none. Roll call vote, starting my far right, please. This is on the consent calendar.
Yes.
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 Chair votes yes, motion passes. Councilwoman?
Okay. As to item A, this item is fairly uncontroversial. It's just the new hire report, but I just wanted to use it as an opportunity to ask our personnel director some questions about our wellness program. And for those of you that aren't aware, we have a wellness program for our employees. And again, based on my questions, you'll hear more about it. But my understanding is that part of the reason it was developed was, well, obviously to keep our employees and their families healthy, but also perhaps, hopefully, to decrease the costs of the health care that we provide to employees. So thank you, and I did tell Mrs. Ferguson that I was going to address this and ask her about it. And I'm just going to read some of my questions to start. My first question was, when did we start this program, and who designed and developed the components of the wellness program, and how many employees or what percentage are actually participating? That's my first part of my questions.
Okay, so the wellness initiative started back probably late 2012 with the Wellness Committee. We developed the Live Well logo and slogan you'll see around the building. We did a number of events. We've done biometric screenings, flu shots, lifestyle management programs, and general programs that both the city and the Board of Ed employees can participate in. And so while those events will continue to go forward, we also then, in the last round of contract negotiations, put language in for a wellness cost share differential for employees that participated in wellness. So when the employees engage in certain activities, then their cost share has a 1.5% less, it's a less cost to them as employees.
Okay. And again, I was asking about how many were participating, and I guess what I'm saying, my specific question would be, for instance, in a union where a union has accepted this as part of their contract, my understanding is that an employee can choose to participate in wellness or not participate in wellness. And if they don't participate, they're paying more for their health insurance. So my first question is, how many are choosing, at least a percentage-wise, roughly, how many are choosing to participate? And then I would go on to say, how many are actually in compliance with the requirements?
Okay, so it started, I said, with the last round of negotiations. We have Local 233, Local 1338, the supervisory union, non-bargaining participating. We have not yet implemented the cost share differential. We've taken some extra time to educate employees. We were intending to go last July with the change. We delayed that till later in the year, and we're actually just now about to implement some of the cost share differentials. we've had some issues with probably communication, lack of knowledge, and so we've been in touch with unions about some of the non-compliance. We may make some adjustments again before we implement the change in the cost sharing differential. So it's hard to say. You don't need to tell us up front that you're participating in wellness.
Okay.
It's at the end of the time period where we determine who has engaged in the activity.
Okay.
And so what we found so far is it looks like about 50% have been compliant, which we thought is low. So again, we're taking extra time to make sure people understand the program. And we just put it in with the fire contract, as you probably know.
Right. Who monitors compliance? And again, I don't mean a specific person, but is that like your office, or is that the insurance provider, or?
Yep. There is a tool on Cigna's website called Motivate Me, and employees can go online and monitor their own progress. And then Cigna is providing us reports with who's compliant and who's not.
Okay. And in terms of the Board of Education, and you had told me previously that they're just starting this, so they haven't actually offered it in any contracts yet?
I'm not aware that they've done any other contracts at this point.
Okay. And if they choose to do that in an upcoming contract, would it again be Cigna that's monitoring that?
Yes. Well, if they choose to negotiate our program.
Right,
yes.
if they use it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I was trying to get to whether we're seeing any better health outcomes, and I realize it's early to do that it's going to take several years perhaps. But I'm looking for health outcomes, but I'm also looking for cost savings, and I'm just wondering if any of that has been determined at this point, and who and how it would be determined eventually.
And I think, as I said, I think it's probably too early for that. I mean, I would say we're at the very beginning stages of implementation, and any kind of program like that is going to take at least 5 years to probably get, and that's just a guess of what any savings would be. And I think a lot of times what we're looking at is not necessarily savings, but less of an increase. So we may be preventing illnesses. We may be
Certainly.
Mitigating some people's conditions. It's a lot of it is intangible, I think. But obviously, the point of the program is we care about employees' health and their families' health, and it's a smart thing to do. Employers across the nation are doing it, and it helps with morale as well.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anything else on that issue? We have a motion to accept, place on file new hired. Motion made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Councilman, item 17.
You want to talk about that now?
Yeah.
Okay. Could I ask the BDA director to come up for a second? This is an item that I'm really conflicted on.
Sure.
Because I agree with Mr. Doyle's point earlier that at least on the surface, it seems like maybe there could be a bigger impact way that we could spend the money. This $68,000 for the CDBG money, CDBG, that's right, Community
Yes, yeah,
Development Block Grant.
Yep.
Okay. So my question for you, Mr. Malley, can CDBG money be used for programs, or does it have to be used for repairs and capital projects, those sorts of things?
Well, we use it for programs, and we run a program out of the BDA. We call it our bread and butter, our residential rehab program. So certainly it can be used for programs. Yes.
Okay. Is there any opportunity to potentially use CDBG money for something like workforce development in a community, working with low-income people or people who have been out of a job for a while that maybe want to break back in? Is that conceivable?
It's conceivable. It could be. I think we follow a process every year where we propose projects. A department or an entity would have to take them on. We submit the project to HUD. Well, first we go through our board process, the city council process, submit it to HUD, and we get HUD's ruling on whether it would work or not. But we certainly would be open to looking into something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because, and I know you know this about me, and I know that the BDA takes workforce development very seriously, and so do I.
Yeah.
And it's something that when I first read about this item on the agenda, for example, that's kind of where my mind went was, geez, I wish we could maybe do something more like that. But I'm sympathetic to Mr. Haberfeld's point as well. Now, a landlord like you, Mr. Haberfeld, in no way are a slumlord at all. So to say that this money, or this proposal to spend this money on sidewalks would be benefiting only absentee landlords doesn't apply in this case. So I feel conflicted. That's why I wanted to ask you some of these questions.
Sure. Maybe Debbie can elaborate.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Debbie Shapiro, the Community Development Coordinator, and I just want to mention that we do have a 15% limit on what we call public services. And so there's a lot of competition between emergency shelter, food pantries, soup kitchens, at-risk youth, and every year we have a very difficult time choosing because we had, for instance, about $200,000 worth of requests that came in.
Oh.
And it's probably around 80 some odd thousand that
Okay,
we're
so-
going to be able to approve because of that limit
15% of the total pot of CDBG money were awarded?
every year. So-
And Debbie,
Okay.
we max that out every year, correct?
Yes, we give the maximum 15%, and so there's a lot of competition for, basically life and death at this point.
Sure. And then that leaves the other 85% of the CDGB money for programs like the sidewalk repairs? Okay.
And if I can
understand.
just ask a question, just to clarify, the CDBG is federal money given to us, and we must use it for low-income families or,
70% of it must be.
okay.
And we
And,
have
go
a
ahead.
little bit of flexibility.
So in this case, you were thinking of beautifying a low-income neighborhood and for the betterment of the community, I assume?
It's actually in the category of spot blight, so we're really working on blight.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
This isn't unprecedented either, right? I mean, you've done this before in other sections of town. Could you just elaborate on that?
We've been working on sections of the West End because the West End has been one of our target areas for about 5 or so years now, and so we have been doing sidewalks in the West End.
Okay.
And I think that there's also other grants that have done streetscape and sidewalks. over the years.
Every year, we do a block of X amount of dollars to repair sidewalks.
We've done about 3 years of it. In the last 5, some years we didn't have enough funds to do that, but when we can, we do that.
One more question, if I may, not to Debbie, but maybe to Mr. Vaselka. What is the policy now? I mean, I know that the homeowners are responsible for sidewalks and repair of sidewalks. If the sidewalk is in disrepair, what is the procedure? By the way, you're still looking very slim, Mr. Vaselka. You're doing a great job in that diet. So.
Thank you. If a sidewalk is in disrepair, the city has a sidewalk repair program that applies to residential houses less than 5 units, and for a single-family home, there's an opportunity for a 50% grant, 50% loan for the sidewalk replacement of portions of the sidewalk deemed to be needed to be replaced.
How about a large, like the apartment buildings that are in question? I mean, is there anything on the books, what's your policy with that?
For large apartment buildings, there is no city program that would apply under our current programs.
And if they are in disrepair, what can be done about them?
Well, the city can order their repair if it comes to that, but we do inspections, and we notify property owners of the need to address their sidewalks.
Okay, but there is no recourse, there's nothing, I mean, we can't put a lien on their property or anything like that then, right?
There actually is under the ordinance a provision for the city to take direct action, but there's some legal steps that the city has to go through in order to go that far.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Can we have the resolution read into the record, please?
Be it hereby resolved by the City Council of the City of Bristol, Connecticut, that a substantial amendment to the Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan of 2015-2016 to reallocate program income funds of $68,000 to a sidewalk replacement project in the Summer Street area, as approved by the Board of Bristol Development Authority in its January 25, 2016 meeting, is hereby approved. Be it further resolved that this matter be referred to the Board of Finance for any necessary action.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion.
I do have some discussion, Your Honor, not
Go ahead.
just because everyone else was speaking earlier. I want to say that when I first saw this on the agenda, and I did see Mr. Doyle's letter, it was attached, and so we all got to read that ahead of time with our materials. I definitely see his point, and I understand that this could be seen as something, somehow we're rewarding landowners that are not taking care of their property. When it gets to the point that it's blight, then we're just doing it. And I see that point very strongly. I am also a member of the Disability Commission here in Bristol, and one of our major concerns, something that we literally talk about at every meeting, is sidewalks. For folks that are disabled, many of which the ones that use the electronic wheelchairs as their means of transportation, it's extremely difficult for them to get around the downtown Bristol and the Federal Hill and the West End area when the sidewalks are in disrepair. And literally, we have members of the public that come and talk about this literally at every Disability Commission meeting. So for me, fixing sidewalks is like a huge thing, and my family had quite a lively discussion about this last night, because they were actually taking Mr. Doyle's side when I was trying to advocate for the disabled, and I saying, you're even beating me up when I'm supporting disabled people. One of the things we did say is that we all agreed that we wished the city could take care of all the sidewalks all the time, and I said I couldn't suggest that because Mr. Veselka might have a stroke, that we were trying to put that into his department, and I get that. It's not something we can change easily. We can't change the procedure of how it works now, so it is a difficult thing. I am in favor of fixing these sidewalks on Summer Street, and I just wanted to let folks know that even things that seem to be mundane are sometimes a little more complicated when we sit up here. So, thanks.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call, starting my far right.
Yes.
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 Chair votes yes, motion passes. Before we get into reports, can I have a motion to bring item number 22 to the floor?
I make the motion, Your Honor. Bring item number 22 up from its current position.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, motion passes.
Your Honor, I'm going to have to recuse myself.
Okay, go ahead. Item number 22, Therese? 22?
Resolution regarding authorization for mayor or acting mayor to enter into option to lease agreement with Fuel Cell Energy Incorporated for portion of property located at 894 Middle Street to facilitate the development of proposal for a fuel cell power generation project.
Can we have the read the resolution, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Be it hereby resolved that the City Council of the City of Bristol, Connecticut authorizes the mayor or acting mayor to enter into an option to lease agreement with Fuel Cell Energy, Inc. of Danbury, Connecticut for a portion of the property located at 894 Middle Street to facilitate the development of a proposal for a fuel cell power generation project to be bid into the State of Connecticut Anticipated Request for Proposals, RFP, pursuant to Section 1B and 1C of the Public Act 15-107, an act concerning affordable and reliable energy.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made second. Before we go on, Justin, can you just come up and give us a little overview of what's going on? I know this was just at a Board of Finance meeting prior to this meeting.
Sure, thanks. So 894 Middle Street, the history on that site, I'll just give a quick history. We own the property now, the city owns the property, it's about 14, 15 acres directly across from ESPN. We've spent several years now basically obtaining grant funding to assess the site. It's a brownfield, it's a former basically scrapyard. We're deep into our phase 3 assessment, so we're approaching the point where we can finally start to look at cleanup and get the property basically clean in order to develop, right, in order to sell and have some great things happen on that lot. We were kicking around the idea, frankly, of looking at renewable energy for the site, and we sort of looked at solar, kind of ruled that out pretty quickly for some different reasons, and we wanted to learn more about fuel cells. So we have a friend in the fuel cell industry, so we called her up and started talking about the possibility of a fuel cell project on that site. Renewable energy is interesting for that site because it is a brownfield, and the level of cleanup, as I understand it, we would not have to go as in depth as we would for any other sort of more normal traditional uses for a piece of land. So the timing was perfect. We learned a lot about fuel cells, but we also learned that there was an RFP that was let out by the state of Connecticut Basically, the state is looking for more alternative energy projects in Connecticut. And there's an opportunity for fuel cell energy, and they could explain it better than I can, but to apply for funds from the state to help develop a small project on our site. They could speak to the location of it on the site, but the area that fuel cell energy is looking at on that particular piece of property is towards the back, at the back really, and it's in a corner that's basically, I don't want to say undevelopable, but it's a very difficult corner to develop because there's transmission lines, there's an easement that runs right through it. The kind of project that would be perfect for this corner might be a fuel cell project, so I guess Derek can elaborate.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and ladies and gentlemen of the council. As Justin was saying, Fuel Cell Energy is interested in assembling a project proposal into this RFP that is anticipated to be announced or released at the end of this month. We are anticipating putting forward a project that would be somewhere in the scope of north of 10, right around 10 to somewhere upwards of, but not more than 20 megawatts in design. We haven't settled on those designs yet, but we are in need of site control in order to put forward a qualified bid, which is the subject of what's before you this evening. Be happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions?
Your Honor, actually, I guess so people might understand a little better, can you give us a rough estimate of the possibility of how many homes could be powered with a potential 20 megawatt facility?
Sure. This is a megawatt can generate the power needs of approximately 400 to 500 homes, depending on the time of year and where you are in the country. But for the purposes of reference, here in the Northeast, a megawatt will power the needs of about 500 homes. We are not settled on the design. The band of eligibility for projects to be submitted is between 2 and 20 megawatts. If we were on the high end of that, we would be servicing something on the order of, well, I guess upwards of 8,000 homes, the power needs of 8,000 homes.
Thanks.
Anything else? Hearing none, roll call, starting my far right.
Thank you for your support.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
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 Chair votes yes, motion passes. Thank you. So someone get Dave, please. Okay, now moving on. Item number 6, reports, committee reports. What item number was that, real estate?
That one is real estate. That one that's listed is real
Yeah, you
estate.
wanna- So who's going to take that?
I'll do. Okay, I have a motion, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Okay, I hereby move that the City of Bristol convey property known as 312 Oakland Street on map 24 of the Bristol Assessor's Office for $1 and other valuable considerations to David Haberfield by the way of a bond for deed with the following conditions. Mr. Haberfield will donate 25% of the net profits from the sale of 312 Oakland Street to a charity approved by the Board of Finance. Number 2, said donations will be made by 12/31/16. And number 3, if Mr. Haberfield does not comply with the conditions herein, the bond for deed will terminate, and any or all rights by the buyer will be terminated.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion.
Yes, Your Honor, I'd just like to, we had a couple of proposals that came to the Real Estate Committee, and after much deliberation, we decided to go with something creative, because we honestly felt that the amount that we would receive for the property would be in excess of the other offer that was made. So with this in mind, we felt that it would be a better fit for the city and a better condition for the city. So that's the reason for our deciding that.
Any other discussion?
Through the chair, Mr.
ahead.
Mills, any charity is part of the motion, or
Any
going to the Board of
charity-
Finance, but I thought it was going to go to a school or?
It was supposed to go to a school, but what we decided was that anybody, it was going to go to Mountain View School, I believe. However, if the Board of Finance deemed that it was not proper to go to Mountain View School, then it would go to another entity in the city, not to any charity.
Any other discussion? Let me say that I know Dave very well, and my support on this project does not reflect on Dave's ability to rehab this house at all. I have a couple concerns with this. First of all, as I stated last month, the council does not have the power to instruct the Board of Finance that they have to accept any money and where that money to go. That being said, I know the motion does say that the Board of Finance will say what charities this goes to. Perhaps the buyer should have made a higher offer than $1 for the sale of price. I think we're setting bad precedent. As a matter of fact, there was a council on here last term that rejected, that was had a problem with a sale price much higher than this because it wasn't enough for selling city property. So to start selling properties for $1, I think we're setting bad precedent. That being said, I'd like to ask for an amendment to this motion that this deal only goes through after the approval of the Board of Finance, and not approving of the Board of Finance will send this back to the Real Estate Committee for a new RFP. Can I have that motion, please?
Is that agreeable with the attorneys? Is that something that needs something? We realized the fact that obviously it had to go to the Board of Finance, and this is what we...
The reason I asked for that before you speak, the reason I say that is because maybe it doesn't need. What happens if the Board of Finance says next month, and you've already closed on the property, that we're not going to accept this as part of the deal?
Mayor,
No,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know, there's too many lawyers in the room.
Well, I've asked Corp Counsel, so you go ahead.
That's fine, go ahead.
I think the answer I would give you is that if the bond for deed certainly won't be completed, I don't think, in advance of the Board of Finance, because we can't complete the contingency unless we know what charity we're supposed to be donating to, so we'll have to wait for the Board of Finance to give their answer. And I suppose the corollary to what you just asked is, if the Board of Finance were to say there's no charity that they want this to go to, then I think it's probably a rejection and a referral back to the Real Estate Committee for further review.
See, my concern with the charity, and I think, is we have, and the Board of Finance, a donations committee. So any charity out there that's looking for money from the city of Bristol has to go before the donations committee. So for the Board of Finance now to say, we're going to give it to this charity, number one, we're going to upset a lot of other charities because they're going to say, why not me? And I just think it sets bad precedent.
Through the chair, if I
Yeah,
may?
go ahead.
I think the use of the word charity might be a misnomer. I think the intent was to offer it to some entity in the city, such as a school, et cetera. That's what it was going to go for. It was originally going to go to Mountain View School. But again, we can't direct the Board of Finance where to send the monies. So I would assume that the money would be spent in the city for a city entity versus a charity. And secondly, again, I agree that it looks as though that a dollar fee is ridiculous. Anybody can come in and offer $1. I think the reason we did it was the contingency offering the potential to have a much larger, because the other bid was $5,000. So in weighing the two, we honestly felt that the potential for the city to garner more monies was available, and that was the reason that we looked in the direction we went.
Let me ask a question then. Where should the Board of Finance put this money? Should it go to a school? Should it go to a soup kitchen? Should it go to the Boys and Girls Club? Should it go to Feller Hill Association? Should it go to Weston Association? Should it go to Forestville Association? I could rattle off 30 different names. Where should it go?
I think it should go to an entity in the city, such as a school.
And
what school?
I would clarify that it should be an entity of the city, not an entity in the city. In other words, again, I would reiterate what the Chairman Mills had said, that the intention here was to somehow pay the city
All right,
by
so-
way of donation. And that's why we're saying that the Finance Board would be free to put it in the general fund. It doesn't have to be
So-
directed to anywhere.
Let me ask again, then, should it go to the youth services for their program? Should it go to Parks Department for their programs? Should it go to all the schools split equally? I mean, where are we going to put it?
If I can expand on what Councilman Mills was saying. First, I want to say the property's been empty a long time. It's been empty about 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. And we did get 2 proposals. One was $5,000, one was $1. But the dollar proposal has the potential, at least, to give the city far more money in the end, which is why we thought creatively we were going to take the chance and go with that second proposal. But I think the motion at least should be amended at this point, not to say charity, but to say in the Board of Finance discretion to be given to the city wherever it deems fit.
And I would second that.
So that's an amendment?
Yes.
Okay. Amendment made and seconded. Discussion?
Well, what was the amendment?
That the money be given to the Board of Finance to be used in their discretion as it sees fit within the city.
And it's within the city department, within the city.
Eliminating the word charity.
Right, I agree.
Okay, so.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion on the amendment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Any other discussion on the original motion?
Yeah, Your Honor, if I may, I guess I'm a little conflicted on this, this offer as well. I know David personally, and he's a great guy, and he does a lot for the city, and his character or his intent is not in question of how I will vote on this. I think what's in question is the offer amount. There's very few, and this is just my principled opinion, there's very few offers that I can digest for $1. And maybe one of those situations might be when a piece of land has a negative value. And in the city, there's not really much that has a negative value, but for something that has a property value, I can't see an offer of $1, especially if we have another offer for $5,000, whatever the offer would be. There's an offer that's higher. The city can get paid up front for that, and I understand that the city has the ability to possibly make more money, but the other issue that I have is the actual oversight of this particular deal may string 6 or more months, and that's just a concern. I think when we go and close a deal, I'd like to shut the door and call it a day versus having it wide open with the potential to make the money is not there, and maybe it is, and maybe it is is well intentioned. And I don't also want to be a barrier of a creative deal. I like creative deals. I think the city needs creative deals. I just, in my opinion, this deal just might not be it.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Through the chair. I just, for anybody that doesn't know what property it is we're talking about, this property is 312 Oakland Street, and that's kind of a misnomer because it's really the little section near the former Shaw's, and it used to be called Shaw's Drive. It's almost really the extension of Lewis Street if you came up the street towards Farmington Avenue. And it's a very, very small lot. It's a single-family house on a very small lot that has parking, as some people have said, for 1 car and a motorcycle, perhaps. So the yard itself is very, very small, and the house is in serious disrepair. Both of the bidders expect to have to spend over $50,000, perhaps over $60,000, to put it in just sellable shape. People have taken the plumbing and the brass and the wiring out of the house. I mean, it's literally in very, very bad shape. If there were no offers to purchase this house and the house remained just part of the city's inventory of foreclosed properties, it probably would have been demolished. And as a very tiny vacant lot, it would have had probably what I would consider a significant negative value in that neighborhood. So again, I just want to reiterate that this was not done willy-nilly, shall we say. This is a difficult piece of property to market, and certainly in the condition it's in. It's not even going to be an easy piece of property to market when it's improved. So,
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
aye.
All opposed? No.
No.
Motion passes, 2 no votes.
Okay. Your Honor, I have another motion.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm hereby move that the City of Bristol seek requests for proposals for the short-term lease of property owned by the city known as 296 Riverside Avenue on map 30A, the Bristol Assessor's Office, and that the purchasing agent be authorized to request proposals once all improvements to the building have been completed. I further move that this matter be referred to the Corporation Council to prepare it and review all necessary documents. I further move that the mayor or acting mayor be authorized to execute any necessary documents to effectuate the same. This, I believe, is the Wonder Bread building.
This is the old Wonder Bread Bristol.
Correct.
Yes.
And what has
Do I have a
happened?
Second? Do I have a second?
I'm sorry.
Second. Okay, go ahead.
I believe that there was some disrepair. The place was broken into. I believe the pipes, et cetera, were taken. So what has happened is that we've authorized the Public Works Department to go in and make the necessary repairs. And I think once those are done, we're going to send it out for a short-term lease.
And that's exactly, just if I could reiterate, this is a building that's been sitting empty. The city's owned it, and we're keeping it to go along with the Sessions building when that gets developed. But in the short term, we discussed it and felt the city could make a little bit of money off of this in a short-term lease by putting very little into the building and bringing another building downtown. So that's what the whole goal is here. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Any other real estate?
Nothing else on real estate.
Councilwoman?
No committees for reports from me.
No reports.
I do have a very brief report from the School Readiness Council. On tonight's agenda, there was an item on school readiness talking about a grant for grandparents. You may or may not realize that there are many grandparents that are raising their children's children. The School Readiness Council recognized the need and has provided support for the many issues that grandparents face today. A number of issues have been addressed, and I am sure you will be pleased to know that Bristol's initiative is being copied throughout the state. To learn more about the various programs that go to this, I would suggest going to a website called makingbristolbetter.com. Every month, I'd like to just give you some information about the school readiness, because in sitting there, it's amazing how many people take advantage of these programs, and they're doing some great work there, and we definitely need to support them in everything we do.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
Just briefly from the Parks and Rec, you may have noticed that the roof was recently raised on Muzzy Field. I just wanted to let everyone know that work has started on Phase 2 of the renovation on Muzzy Field. D'Amato Construction is actually the contractor for the project. The scope of the project is to add a new press box behind home plate and raise a portion of the existing grandstand canopy roof, cover the first base seating area, extend the dugouts and add protective fencing, and add additional ADA seating along first base. So crews have removed a portion of the existing roof this week where the new press box is to be located, and the dugout improvements are scheduled to start next week.
Thank you. Anything else? Councilman?
Yeah, Your Honor, I don't necessarily want to steal any thunder that you may have in a report, but the mayor's economic committee met, which I am a member of that, and we approved two economic development grants that we'll be speaking about tonight. One for an existing business here in town to make some, to acquire some new machinery, and one for a new business moving into town. So, that's in terms of right now, that's the only one notable worth reporting. But I'd like to make a statement that I think our economic development strategy is going in the right track, because it seems as every time we talk about a new business wants to locate in town. We just don't always only need residents, but we need businesses as well, and residents follow with that. So I'd like to just put my opinion that our economic development strategy slowly but surely going in the right direction, and I'm very happy to serve on the mayor's economic committee.
Thank you. Councilman?
I have two quick reports tonight. The first is from Youth Services. I want to let everybody know that nominations for the Youth Recognition Awards for this year are now being accepted. So if you know a young person or a youth group that's demonstrated outstanding community service in either their school or in a church group or in a community group at large, you can reach out to Youth Services to get an application or find out more about how to nominate. And applications are being accepted through March 23rd of this year. So that's just a month and a half left, so make sure if you know somebody, you can get your application in. The second one, I want to remind everybody of an announcement that I shared last month from the library, and that's the AARP Foundation tax aid appointments are available to Bristol taxpayers starting today and continuing through April 12th. So if you're 60 or older and you're interested in some help filing your taxes, you can go there. You can make an appointment and go to the library. That's a great service that the library offers. And that's it for committee reports for me.
Thank you. And I have no reports, so let's go to unfinished business, starting my far right.
Yes, Your Honor, maybe kind of going off the vein of committee reports or into unfinished business, but I was curious if either you or the BDA liaison could talk to us a little bit about where the hospital plan stands now, if there's any new information about
Justin?
where we are in the process.
Yes, sir. So last week, we had our first meeting of the BDA's Downtown Committee, which is going to be the committee that's charged essentially with overseeing the downtown site, similar to the way the Industrial Committee oversees the business parks. At the meeting, really the main focus of that was a discussion around a couple of things. The first thing is that I literally sent members the Plan of Conservation and Development, our zoning regulations for downtown as part of the package to remind folks that we're not veering from this vision that the community has for downtown, this walkable, livable environment, right? And it's documented in the POCD. The POCD went through a year of public meetings, and let's not lose that focus, right? So one of the ways to get there we talked about was the idea of frankly hiring a consulting firm. I'm talking urban planner. Obviously, we need engineers on the case. Our folks at the city side just don't have the time and sometimes the expertise. It's sort of like a specialized field to look at a site and sort of map it out, right? The mayor and I and the BDA members, we need that in order to go sell. That's what basically, in a way, what I do. So that was the focus of the meeting. The possibility of dividing the lot up, what's left of the lot after the Bristol Hospital deal up into separate building lots, obviously is a big part of that. So what we basically received from that committee was a motion that we can sort of run with an RFQ to determine the cost for that type of help for downtown. And as the mayor said, that we don't have regular meetings scheduled yet. That was a special meeting a week ago, but we're going to establish regular meetings at the BDA meeting at the end of this month. Okay. So does that help?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Mr. Malley, can you give everyone a brief outline maybe as to what they can expect timeline-wise over the next 30, 60, 90 days, or in compliance generally with the letter of intent?
I can't really speak to the letter of intent. It's out of my hands. It's into obviously the Office of Corporation Counsel.
I'm sorry, the compliance for the timeline as you understand it in the letter of intent.
Regarding Bristol Hospital?
Right.
So Bristol Hospital's working on, and their counsel is working with our counsel to sort of iron out that purchase and real estate agreement. What they updated our committee, they were there at our committee meeting, and I had to step out for a little bit to talk with a commissioner, but what Bristol Hospital updated us with is that they've hired a project manager, okay, to oversee a competitive bid process. They need to go out and find their own developer, right, for the site. So they've hired a project manager to manage that process, and that's just begun.
And I could also add that our attorneys are currently working on a purchase and sales agreement, hoping to get our draft over to their attorneys by the end of this week, and then let them do what you attorneys do and send it back to us.
Shouldn't that come from us, Ed, from them, Ed, as a purchaser?
Councilman, we actually debated that, that they should give us the first draft. Because there were some, well, and to answer your question that you asked Justin a minute ago.
I was trying to lead him down.
We are currently in the initial 90-day due diligence period, free look, so to speak. That means that Bristol Hospital has the ability to go out and do whatever studies, testing, hiring, whatever it is that they think they need to do in order to begin the process of putting together a project plan, whatever it will look like. We didn't want to wait, and the mayor asked us to do the first look at a draft of a contract because we knew what the letter of intent said. We knew that there were some significant issues that were city-driven, not driven by the other side. For example, the request for tax abatements and things like that. So we met with BDA director and chatted about how we could structure some wording in that regard. There's the need, obviously, for us to internally decide how we're going to handle parking. That's our call, not theirs. So we started to work on some of the language for that. So once we started putting all those things together, I said, why the heck don't we just do the first draft? We'll send it over to Murtha and Kalina, who's representing the Bristol Hospital. We've only had, I think, one short conversation with their counsel indicating that that's in fact what we were going to do. We told them that we would try to get a first draft to them of what we thought the contract should look like sometime this week or at the beginning of next, and I think we're on task to do that. So that's where we are in our office. But we've had no negotiations of any type, size, shape, or variety since that time. It's literally our side just putting what we think the word should look like initially.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
One more thing, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Go.
Justin, could I have you come up again? And just talk about the Startup Bristol program, okay? That's something that's
Love to.
exciting, that's really coming to
Love to.
an
So,
end here. Just
gosh.
start if you could explain what it is. And
Yeah, last summer, I think, we sort of came up with this idea of holding what's commonly referred to as a business plan competition. Universities hold these competitions, rarely do municipalities. The idea is it would be based on recruiting innovative startup companies to the city. Bristol's known for a lot of great things, right? We have great manufacturers, industrial entities, but startup companies maybe not where we should be, and I think that we should be considered a hotbed. So I approached the Mayor's Economic Development Committee for some seed money to start this competition. They were lucky. I was lucky enough to secure $50,000. We then went on the radio. We promoted the opportunity for entrepreneurs and young meaning businesses that have been in business for a short period of time, to apply to our program to potentially win large amounts of money. The trick is that they'd have to locate here in Bristol if they're elsewhere. They've got to set up shop here in town. We've gone through now 2 rounds. So we received 35 applications from very legitimate businesses that I think this entire room and the city would be proud of having. Those 35 applications were whittled down by the mayor's Startup Bristol Task Force to 8 applications that were, those 8 businesses and entrepreneurs were invited to submit sort of additional materials, their full business plan, their financial plans. Those 8 now have been whittled down to 4 businesses, very, very exciting businesses that have been invited to compete in round 3, which will be a live, what we call a live pitch event. They're going to be giving a presentation to the committee later this month. And then obviously the committee after that will determine the final award winners.
Great. So this is like the municipal version of Shark Tank, basically.
It's an easy comparison, yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Councilman Brown, anything else?
Under old
Unfinished?
business?
Yeah,
No.
unfinished?
Nope.
No.
Your Honor, just one more thing that I forgot. Seeing Justin up there just made me remind myself that after the mayor's economic committee meeting, I asked Justin a question about the Bristol, Connecticut All Heart website. I am very impressed with the website, and again, marketing is going to be a big key in how we push our economic development strategy forward. And I was just concerned about the ability for constituents or people outside of Bristol or whoever that matter getting their way and making their way to that website. So what I've asked him to do is I recommended that we put a permanent visible link on the city website portal. We already have a bunch of website traffic. I couldn't give you the number, but our tech department could. But we have current residents that are on that website that are paying their taxes, that are looking up agendas for meetings such as this. what better way on the index page or the home page that we can just shepherd them right to this website that they may not know exists. The other good thing about potentially having that on the index page is if you're not from town and you're looking for information, my first go-to when I'm doing some due diligence on another municipality is going to their website. So if that would to catch my eye, that could be a plus. And one other thing with regards to the All Har website, I asked a question to Mr. Veselka last council meeting if we can put that website address into new resident packets. Public Works sends out a new resident packet, or when you purchase a piece of property such as a residential house, you'll get that packet in the mail, welcoming you to the city of Bristol, and here are all the services and contact numbers. I thought that was also a good medium to slip that in for people who didn't know, especially people who just may have moved to town. So I just wanted to let you know that I'm looking at this as kind of where I think I can do some good things and make some good recommendations, and we're moving forward, and I like to share as many of those opinions as I can, being that I have a marketing background.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
None.
Councilman?
Nothing.
Councilman? Nothing. Councilwoman?
Nothing.
That was unfinished business. New business, starting my far left.
None for me.
Nothing.
No, sir.
None.
None.
I actually do have a couple things, and not to keep picking on poor Mr. Malley, but there are a couple of things that I want to put on the BDA sort of radar in case they're not there already. First thing is something that was passed to me by a constituent recently, and that's the Housing and Urban Development Department's Good Neighbor Next Door program. Is that on your radar, the Good Neighbor Next Door program, as far as you know?
So it's on our radar now. Thanks for bringing
No,
it up.
no problem,
I wasn't
no
familiar
problem.
with that, but maybe we can talk.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll just share a little bit for people who might be interested. This program from HUD is for eligible single-family homes located in revitalization areas, and they get listed exclusively under the Good Neighbor Next Door sales program for 7 days. So if you're somebody living in the community that's a law enforcement officer, a teacher, firefighter, or emergency medical technician, and you work here in Bristol and you want to buy a home here, apparently this program helps you to do that. So I'll share the little, I don't have a bunch of information, but I'll share a little bit I've got with you.
Sounds good.
And in a similar vein, there was some mention about helping companies with capital purchases. There's a program run through the Manufacturing Innovation Fund out of the Department of Economic and Community Development called the Manufacturing Voucher Program. And how that works is if you're an eligible company, you can apply for a voucher ranging from $5,000 to $50,000 for the purchase of specialized expertise or equipment, or to help your processes be more lean. And the stipulation there is it's a matching grant, so a company would have to put up the other, an equal amount to the grant. And that's something that really, I think, could help a lot of the smaller manufacturers here. It's a very successful program so far, so I wanted to make sure that that was
Yeah,
something.
and thank you, we do.
That's great.
I always pitch the state programs in addition to ours, why not?
Yeah.
Some company in the state's gonna get these funds, why not Bristol companies? So
Right.
that's the great thing about our programs, we don't, we encourage that. Combine the funds.
Perfect.
To get to where they need to be.
Excellent, thank you. And now, outside of BDA, so
Oh.
you go ahead, Mr. Malley, you can sit back down. Poor guy. Next time, we're just going to put a chair right there next to the podium. Recently, the pit bull controversy has been back in the news, and I don't want to get too much into all of that, because when something like this happens, when there's a dog attack, being a dog owner, I don't blame the dog. I blame people that aren't in good control of their pets, or I blame people who are breeding dogs without real adherence to the law and safety procedure. So I'm curious if we could maybe ask the ordinance committee to take a look at if other municipalities are doing anything around holding dog owners and dog breeders accountable to try and help prevent some of these attacks. And if there is, maybe the city can adopt something. If not, then that's okay too. But I just figured, since it was in the news recently, I know it excites a lot of passions. I don't want anybody to think that we're going to be reactionary and try to outlaw dog breed, because it doesn't work. But I figured maybe we could do it this way.
They will look at it, and I just want to remind everyone that it was Calvin Brown who brought this up, because this came up about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And
We got
just
at
remember,
least,
it was
20
Calvin Brown.
Yeah, I
okay?
know.
Probably at least 500 emails.
Minimum.
From all over the country.
Right. It's,
Minimum.
you know, well, we saw that. We saw that with even the roosters and the feral cats. Animals excites a lot of passion among people, and that's fine. But I figure maybe we can be measured in how we do it, and I know the ordinance committee is in capable
Ordinance
hands.
will take a look at
Yeah,
it. We'll take a look.
That'd be great.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, no.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have one thing. Pass that down, please. I am going to be starting a charter revision committee, and I'll ask Councilwoman Gagny, thank you, if you would read resolution for me, please.
Be it hereby resolved that pursuant to authority contained in Sections 7-187 through 7-190 of the Connecticut General Statutes, the City Council of the City of Bristol hereby creates a Charter Revision Commission to consist of 5 electors to be nominated by the mayor and confirmed by the City Council, provided that no more than 1/3 of whom may hold any public office in the city, and not more than a bare majority of whom shall be members of any one political party. Said commission is hereby directed to make its draft report to the appointing authority on or before June 8th, 2016, to review Sections 12, 42, 46A, and 46B of the city charter, and any other revisions that may be suggested by the City Council.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Let me say, this charter revision committee is going to have a very short time frame. I'm going to ask them that they get this ready to put these issues on the ballot, if they so choose to bring it forward to the council, to put it on the ballot this November election. So I'm going to ask that they first concentrate on these, but I will be starting another charter revision after this year, for them to have a longer period of time to look at other issues that any of us may like to bring forward. So first, can we have any discussion on this? Hearing none.
Your Honor, real
Go
quick.
ahead.
Have you already picked your nominees?
I do,
or-
and those will be after
Oh,
the resolution.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So
Can we just have a quick review of what those sections are? I'm just trying to skim, just
Yes,
so we know what we're voting on here.
The first section is going to, yeah. they're
I realize that. The point is, he's calling for a vote before I've even gotten through the 3rd or 4th page here.
Okay, so trying to simplify it. First one is for the charter revision, and this is my words, not what's in these letters.
I
Keep that in mind.
understand.
For the charter revision, to take a look at, as everybody has heard tonight and over the last month, there's a controversy on a loophole in the council district. So I've asked the council, the charter revision, to look at the council, if they should live in the district or not. But I'm also going to ask them to look at minority representation as a whole, allowing the council to live anywhere in the city and just have minority representation, just like they do on the Board of Ed. The other two pertain to the police and fire. There's parts of the police and fire that are currently in the city charter that don't match the negotiated contracts that we currently negotiate. Negotiations trump any charter move. So what we're looking at is possibly removing some of this section out of here, bringing it over to ordinance, so that the ordinance could move quicker in regards to what's negotiated through contracts, so that those match up. And, did I get them all? And that's a very brief summary.
Okay, and so there's nothing on moving to referendum for big ticket.
No, they don't have
items.
enough time to go through that stuff, not at all. Anything else? Roll call, starting my far right.
Yes.
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 Chair votes yes, motion passes. And the 5 individuals that are going to go on: John Fitzgerald, Chair; Gail Hartman; Joe Guarino; Richard Maynard; and Chad Lockhart. Can I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Could you read them one more time?
Yeah, John Fitzgerald, he'll be the chair. Gail Hartman; Joe Guarino; Richard Maynard; and Chad Lockhart.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Resignations.
Several resignations, Your Honor. The first is from Kathleen Nelson from the Commission of Persons with Disabilities. The second is from Jake Carrier and the Mayor's Task Force for Energy Consumption. And then there were 3 retirements from the Mayor's Task Force on AIDS. One is from Dawn Fenimore, the second is from Matthew Damiano, and the third is from Joan Marks. They've retired from their positions, so their positions are now open.
Can I have a motion to accept the resignations and send them a letter of thank you?
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed. Motion passes. Appointments. ADA Coordinator, Mayor's appointment to appoint David Oakes to replace George Wallace, retired, no term. Board of Public Works to reappoint Donald Padlow, 3-year term to 2/19.
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed. Motion passes. Pine Lake Area Study Committee to appoint Carmen Morton to replace Bernard Borowski, died, no term.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed. Motion passes. Retirement Board to reappoint Cheryl Tebow, 3-year term to 2/19.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed. Motion passes. Hubble School Building Committee to appoint Rochelle Swartz, school principal, representing the professional staff of Bristol Schools, no term. To appoint Cindy Morton, Hubble School parent, a taxpayer from school area, no term. To appoint Brian Costello, Hubble School parent and ESPN employee, a member of the professional community of the city, no term. To appoint Sean Carmody, Hubble School parent, taxpayer from the school area, no term. To appoint Jeffrey Tedesco, a Bristol citizen at large, no term. And to appoint John Smith, a member of the professional community of the city, no term.
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed. Motion passes. Item number 11.
Award of contract 2C1644, sidewalk replacement, CDBG West End section to Martin Laviero Contractor Incorporated for $51,150, and authorization for mayor or acting mayor to execute any necessary documents.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Item number 12.
Award of contract 2C1623, 6A, millwork for Firehouse 4 renovation to DLZ Architectural Millwork LLC for $24,239, and authorization for mayor or acting mayor to execute any necessary documents.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Your Honor, quickly, is this $24,000 in addition to the $6 million already appropriated?
Ryder?
Actually, the Fire 4 project has been carrying the cost of $25,000 within their budget. Without having a contract award, they've finally been able to make a determination for a contract award, so this is not an additional appropriation.
Okay, got
This is
it.
within their existing budget.
Got it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Item 13.
Resolution regarding State of Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development grant for financial assistance for Firehouse 5 building renovation project on Mix Street. And there is a resolution to read.
I can read that, Your Honor. Whereas pursuant to Connecticut General Statute Section 4-66C, the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development is authorized to extend financial assistance for economic development projects, and whereas it is desirable and in the public interest that the City of Bristol make an application to the state for $260,000 in order to undertake renovation to Engine Company No. 5 Firehouse project and to execute an assistance agreement. Now therefore be it resolved, 1, that it is cognizant of the conditions and prerequisites for the state financial assistance imposed by Connecticut General Statute Section 4-66C, and 2, that the filing of an application for state financial assistance by City of Bristol in an amount not to exceed $260,000 is hereby approved, and that Mayor Kenneth B. Cockane be directed to execute and file such application with the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development to provide such additional information, to execute such other documents as may be required, to execute an assistance agreement with the state of Connecticut for state financial assistance if such an agreement is offered, to execute any amendments, decisions, and revisions thereto, and to act as the authorized representative of the City of Bristol.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, roll call, starting with our far right.
Yes.
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 Chair votes yes, motion passes. Item 14.
Amendment to Contract 2C1623, 7A, roofing for Firehouse 4 renovation with Greenwood Industries Incorporated for $26,095.89, and authorization for mayor or acting mayor to execute any necessary documents.
Motion. Motion to approve.
So moved. Motion to approve, sorry.
Motion second. Motion made second. Discussion.
I do have one question, Your Honor. I'm wondering what the original authorization was on this one. I know this is a change order, and I was just wondering what the original roof cost was.
The original contract cost for the roof was $187,000. And just as an explanation for what this is, the original project, we did have concerns with the overall budget for the project. So there were a number of items that were value engineered or VE taken out of the project. One of them was to reduce the thickness for the roof membrane from a 90 mil roof to a 60 mil roof. What that does is it shortens the life of the warranty, but at least gets a good solid roof that's on the project. Now that we've actually gotten successfully out of the ground and the slab and the foundation are poured and the steel is up, any remediation that's happened in the old building is passed. The building committee is pretty comfortable that they've seen any major change orders that would come out of the project. So they've looked at it and determined that at this point it's worth it in the long-term interest of the building to VE that back into the project to make sure that we have a longer life for the roof.
Thank
and
you.
that fits within the existing contingency remaining for the project.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Item number 23.
Executive session regarding matter of Dennis Nadu versus Officer Gregory Giannini et al., docket number HHB CV 15-602-8039S.
Mayor, it'll be our office and our carriers outside counsel, Tom Giroux.
Okay. Motion to go to executive session.
Move it. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes. Okay, we're back. Can I have a motion to come in session?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Let the record show no votes were taken in executive session. We have a motion?
Thank you, Your Honor. I hereby move that in the matter of Dennis Nadeau versus Officer Gregory Giannini et al., docket number HHB CV 15602-8039S, that the city consent to the settlement recommended by Trident Insurance Company in the amount of $16,500.
We have a second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes. Any other business?
Move to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Have a good evening.